Cool. Well, everyone, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. This is Grace with Asian Movie Pulse Video Interviews, and I'm really excited to speak with Jing Ning and Andie about their film The Forge, which will open CAAMFest next week. So congratulations. I know that you guys had a South by Southwest premiere and you will be in Cannes this weekend. So Jing, I know this is like your first feature, and Andie, this is your first time in a feature starring role. So could you just tell me a little bit more how that experience went for you both?
It was definitely a long road bringing Forge to screens. I first wrote it in 2020. So it's been a while since I first wrote the script, and I'm so happy that we're going to be opening CAMFest this weekend. And also, we'll be in theaters May 15th. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, it's been such a gratifying experience, and it's been so fun to be able to work and get to know all these people in the cast and the crew. Like it truly felt like everyone got along really well, and so there were hard days. I mean, you're shooting in Miami in the summer, so like it's gonna get hot and people are gonna, it's like it's a lot. But I was so happy to have been able to go through it with these people. So I'm really, really excited for people to see all of everyone's hard work. Jing is such a great writer, director. Like she created such a beautiful world and like all these really fully fleshed out characters and story. And so I'm just really excited for people to see everyone's hard work finally like on the screen.
Yeah. So how did you all meet? Like what drew you to Jing's script and Jing, how did you find Andie?
Yeah,
I
Ooh.
Yeah, go ahead, Andy. Go ahead. I can talk about the casting process, because it was an open call, actually.
Oh,
So
okay.
we read people and auditioned people all over the country.
Hmm.
And Damien Bao, our casting director, just basically we felt very strongly we should have a discovery casting process for our two leads. So we opened it up completely, and Andy was one of the people who answered that casting call.
Yeah, I feel like everyone, it's one of the people, it felt like everyone auditioned for this role. Yeah, and I feel very lucky to have been able to go on this ride as Coco. And yeah, getting to know Jing was really awesome. I'm not gonna lie, just because I was so in love with the script and with the character, I was like nervous because I really wanted to do the character justice. And but Jing was really great about just like letting go of like she was like, I wrote the script and now it's like you can take it on however it's going to be, and was really supportive of um letting me have the room and the space to kind of explore and see how Coco kind of like manifested in me. Um, and the script was just so good on the first read. I remember reading it and being like, there was just this like connection that I felt right away, immediately, like multiple points as I was reading the script. I was like, this is so good. I can't believe that I'm reading a character like this. So it was just a really great experience right from the first read of the script.
Mm. Yeah, Jing, I mean, what made you think, oh, Andy's the one?
I actually remember this pretty vividly because, I mean, the really great part about our casting process was we got to see so many people from so many different places.
Mm.
And so when Hollywood says they can't cast like Asian actors, that's just not true. We were spoiled for choice, it's the truth. And I remember seeing Andy's tape, and I just wrote in the notes section, like the column, I wrote OMG. Um, because it really was an outstanding tape. And when she came back for an in-person callback, and it was so competitive that we went all the way up to chemistry reads, where we test read different actors against each other as Raymond and Coco to make sure that who we cast had the right chemistry. um, I just knew it was Andie. So it's a testament to how good she was in the room and also in the movie. She's excellent.
Mm. Yeah, and I think the movie, it's such an interesting movie, I think, within the context of Asian American cinema, right? I think this idea of thinking thematically about what it means to forge something or to or to make something creative, I think is a constant struggle that we see throughout discussions about Asian American media, especially throughout the last 20, 30 years. So I'm curious to hear both of your takes of what do you think you brought uniquely to Andie, what do you think you brought uniquely to the script? And then Jing, how was this on your mind when you were coming up with the script? Like thinking about what does it mean to be original and Asian American at the same time? Because I feel like that has been a continual conversation, at least within this space.
Yeah, I'll go first. I feel like, I talked about connecting with Coco from the first read, and I feel like what I brought to the table was exactly that. I'm an Asian American, and I am also someone who, like Coco, it had to grow up learning how to navigate these different worlds and trying to figure out how to sort of make them meet, or navigating, okay, I'm in this sphere right now and then I'm over here right now. And also I feel like, and I think that this is more than just being Asian American, but growing up and trying to not disappoint people like your parents, or if you have a close-knit community that you grow up with, and it there's like a certain way of life or a way of being, or like a road that everyone knows is like, you do this for happiness and success. And then to kind of deviate from that, I feel like I understood that so well, considering like I'm an actor now, and that was definitely not what my parents thought that I was going to be. um, so I feel like I was able to really understand Coco in that regard, and the push and pull that you can feel when you want to kind of explore and be your own person, but um, you don't want to, like, go against the status quo. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess I can add to that by saying that, my background is that I grew up between Malaysia and Miami. And
Mm.
that's not to say I lived in Malaysia and then moved to Miami. I mean that my family literally splits your time between these two places and has for my entire life. So I spent 6 months in each place growing up. And because of that, it was really interesting because obviously in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, I was exposed to the breadth of Asian cinema and how
Mm.
Asian characters are portrayed. And then to move suddenly, every year across the ocean to Miami, where the Asian population is less than 2%. And representation wise in AAPI cinema, I think typically in the past we have seen the same sorts of stories and characters reoccur. And even then, like, let's be real, like, Asian American cinema is a small part of the American cinematic pantheon. And I would hope that we can expand and that we can take up more space, and that our characters can take up more space. And so I tried to blend my two experiences. And obviously, by setting this story in Miami, which is my hometown, it was very personal. But also, I'm an art forgery fanatic. And what people don't know is that the art forger behind one of the largest cases in the US, $80 million worth of art, is Asian. And he fled to China, and no one has ever interviewed him. And so this was like a really natural jumping off point for my imagination. And so while people are like really surprised at the concept behind Forge and the premise, it really is from real life. Just a set of experiences that are unique to me and my interests. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm in art history, so I thought this was a really fun movie to watch.
Right? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like reading the script too, you really see all the detail that Jing really put into like learning how to forge art properly and what ingredients one would use, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah, like the green light in the very beginning, I was like, whoa.
yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because when we think about forgeries, we oftentimes, like art forgeries in particular, a lot of the time it's associated as like a male or masculine sort of a thing. Yet you decided to make Coco or female lead a female lead. Um, so what's going on with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, a fun fact is that there are no known female art forgers. And another fun fact is, well, at least at the time when I was writing the script, wasn't someone that publicly came out. Since then, there's been one. But another fun fact is that the estimate for forgeries in the current art market is 25% to 30% of paintings out there are forgeries. And so the fact is, like, there are a lot of art forgers that haven't been caught. And so their identity is a complete question mark. And so I took that as, I can take this blank canvas and this big vacuum of knowledge that we have and kind of fill that with my experiences and my ruminations on kind of being Asian American in Miami and also loving art and cinema.
Hmm. I mean, and also having an FBI agent be a woman as well with Kelly Marie Tran. I feel
Yes,
like that's,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. My older sister, who the character of Emily is based on, was an art history major, who went to Harvard. And so I wanted to put the archetype of her in the movie somehow. And the FBI Art Crimes Division has been so fascinating to me for a really long time. Not everyone knows that the FBI has an art crimes division.
I didn't know, and I'm in art
Yeah,
history. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And people know them for, having solved a lot of heists, but on a day to day, they are trying to track down art forgers, and South Florida is kind of a hot spot.
Interesting. And I think the really interesting about the whole movie is it's so much of it is about access and trying to get into this access of elite circles, right? Coco's motivation throughout the movie is like, well, I just want to have my paintings in a museum somehow. And I guess for the other characters, they're like, oh, how can I maintain my status within this elite world? Or how can I make sure that like the facade doesn't fall away? And I feel like you explore these themes in Fleck as well. Like, how do we access something that seems so out of reach? And I feel like this is also kind of an Asian American thing too, right? Like, how do we access a Hollywood that seems to be out of reach? Which has now felt more accessible, I guess, with Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I guess K-pop Demon Hunters and Crazy Rich Asians. But yeah, I'm just curious to hear what were your feelings when you were trying to figure out this idea of access in Forge?
I think
Yeah.
it comes very well. Go ahead, Andy.
No,
Yeah.
you go
Go
first.
ahead. Go ahead.
Um,
Exciting.
uh, well, I was just gonna say that I think that what Jing writes about so beautifully in the script and in a way that's not like in your face, but you just like see it because it's just the way that it is that everybody you even like you have people that are considered on the outside like Coco and Raymond, people who are in it like Holden, and then you know there's like through every rank or like stratosphere of the society, and it's people are trying to use whatever they can to solidify that they belong wherever they are. So it was really interesting to see it play out because you just see how okay this person is using this person and this person's using this person and so on and so forth. So it was, I feel like it was almost like a great equalizer in that like everyone is in this rat race in a way. Everyone is trying to like no one is above it, even if you think people who have money or whatever status, however, no one is ever really outside of this constant machine of trying to solidify that you're worthy of being whatever status you're in. So it was very interesting for me to kind of see that and explore it.
Yeah, I guess if in a way, like thinking about the American dream, you can be anything that you want to be. But I guess the American curse and the flip side of that is that nothing is ever feels good enough and you're constantly wanting more. And I think Forge does address greed and kind of like that curse it has on a person, on society, and whether ambition and greed and that the intersection of that I think is really really interesting, especially when put in a character like Coco, an Asian woman, um where you don't really see those themes played out or those characteristics played out the same way than in Forge very often. Um, so I do think that for a lot of Asian Americans, especially those who maybe grew up in a place where they were the minority or they're an outsider looking in, that there are certain themes in Forge that definitely play to that. And these characters, they use that to their advantage sometimes.
Yeah, right. Like when the first art dealer that they sell to is like, oh, I can't really describe her, but she was beautiful. And her mom was really beautiful too.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah.
It's very interesting because you had mentioned earlier in the conversation that we haven't really seen female art forgers, and certainly not like Asian art forgers, even though, as Jing mentioned, the one who has gotten away with $80 million worth of forgeries is a Chinese artist. But so, and again, as we're talking about moving through these different worlds and navigating different levels of status, I think it was a really fun way to explore being an Asian American woman, and the fact that I, in my life and in the past, have used that to my advantage because people will maybe underestimate me in a certain way or have preconceived notions about me. And I think that there is something really gritty and also very indicative of something I've learned from my parents and watching them, work as immigrants in this country, um, which is to use it to my advantage instead of being like, I'm gonna tell you right now, right here, like who I am and what I am. But it's like, no, I would rather keep that close to the vest, my chest, whatever that saying is, and kind of use it as a cover to kind of move however I need to move. So super fun. You don't really see people writing Asian characters, Asian American characters in that way because I feel like so far the lens has been very a lens that has been not that of someone who's within our community and understands that like that exists and we're not all just like super nice and super polite. Like we're real people that will, scam you every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah.
um
We're not a monolith.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think that was something that was so well done too, is that Jing was like, Coco is this fully formed person, and like you and me will make, I don't want to say mistakes, but we'll make decisions on the fly, and sometimes your decisions will work out in a way that you had no idea, or sometimes you do make that choice of like, yeah, I am gonna screw over this person. um and she was really unapologetic about it, which I really loved.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to think about this theme of the inscrutable other. Um, and I think Coco plays such a fine line where it's like, on one hand, we sympathize with her because she is the main character, but on the other hand, it's like, oh, we don't really understand why she's so interested in the Beaumont collection until the very end. And then it's like, oh, how am I supposed to feel about that? Like, am I supposed to sympathize with somebody who's forging all these artworks or
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good question. And it shows you in many ways like how few Asian American anti-heroes there are, you
Mm.
know? If you're thinking like just in American cinema in general, there's like The Social Network, for example, Wolf of Wall Street, where I think we're commonly brought on this journey with white male characters.
Mm.
Um, and I just don't think that's the case for a lot of Asian American characters. So that was something that was done with intentionality. Um, and whether or not you like Coco or not is kind of besides the point, I think. I think the movie is really about an exploration of yeah, of greed and ambition, and that manifests in Coco. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's a lot more subtle, I think, too, than something like Crazy Rich Asians or like Beef, I think even, which is all about the explosions of these emotions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I really am curious too about like some of the production details. And so you said that you grew up in Miami at half and half. And you have these really lush locations and they contrast so much with like the Chinese restaurant or even like the last scene when we see Coco on her way out. And you see like the really old TV in comparison to everything else that we've seen before. So, first of all, how did you choose these locations? Did you already know? Like when you were growing up, you're like, oh, maybe if I ever shoot a film here, I would want to shoot something here. Or like, how did you think about, yeah, how did you go about capturing the essence of Miami on camera?
Sorry, taking a sip of water,
Yeah,
but
take your time. Yeah.
yeah, I think for me, part of it was the budget and what we had access to, which is the honest part of the answer. Like we really had to work with what we had. The second part is we got really lucky with locations like Tropical Chinese.
Hmm.
Tropical Chinese is the, if not the oldest Chinese restaurant in Miami, one of. It's been there since 1984. I wrote it in because there was a restaurant that me and my family visited every Sunday for dim sum. I did not think we were going to be able to film there. The script got to Greg, the owner, through a friend, and he thought it was really funny that I had written this fictional story that made his entire family art forgers. And he let us film there. So that is a very real location and something that I grew up with.
Wait,
And
so Greg is a real restaurant owner.
yeah, yeah, Greg is the real restaurant owner. And he let us film there. They never closed while we were filming, so our hours were crazy working around that. Um, but yeah, they were great. And
Shout
so
out to Greg
that
and Tropical Chinese.
exactly. Shout out to Greg and Tropical Chinese. That was a dream of mine and they made it happen.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Also so Asian that they didn't close.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
like so Asian.
We were like, yeah, we can try to pay for it. He's like non-negotiable.
Yeah.
It will be open. Yeah. So,
So how early in the morning did you have to go?
Oh no, we were
um,
leaving early in the morning.
yeah, we filmed from
Ooh.
10 to 10. Not recommended.
Oh my God. How'd you all stay up?
Coffee.
Um, Celsius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Brandon doesn't even drink coffee, so he had like matcha. So he just is like a bundle of energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely one of the harder weeks. But again,
Yeah.
everybody on the set is so great. Crew, everyone was it was a if there was anyone
Yeah.
to go through that experience with, it was with this crew and with this cast.
Yeah, absolutely. We had such an indie budget. Like, I don't disclose because I do think the movie turned out to look more expensive than it is. One of the funniest stories I can tell is when we finally showed the movie to our producers, like one of our EPs, he said, I want a wide of the beach club. And I said, I am so flattered you think there's a beach club because we are on the beach with like two chairs, is the truth. But we had an amazing team that really did so much, and we really made the movie magic happen with what we had.
Yeah, they did such an incredible job. I can't even like put into words. Just every set, every location was beautifully like they changed the motel scene. They like changed there's just so much. I wish we could like show a separate movie about like the art department and what they did because
Yes.
it was so
Yeah.
impressive.
Hmm. And what about the scenes when you're like actually painting? Because I was like, I didn't expect it to happen, but I was like, oh, we're actually seeing some behind the scenes of how these forgeries perhaps would be made.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the best parts of the entire film for me was the forgery montage. We got to collaborate across all departments and with Andy
Hmm.
to kind of bring the magic because part of it is real, right? Like we all did research on forgery processes and what people do, but another part of it was like, okay, what's gonna look cool on camera? So we had references, and I could tell we had these meetings with like 20 people in the room at a time, just pitching ideas, and I could just feel the excitement. And I think as a director and as the writer of the script, like nothing gave me more joy than to see that people were inspired to bring ideas to the table here. So that was really special.
Yeah, that was
Hmm.
like maybe one of my favorite locations and things to shoot because I was just lucky enough to just like kind of obviously do my own research on the side, but then come onto this set like that they like had put so much work into and pretend like I like got to forge art there. So it was just like such a fun experience getting to like even like hanging up the different canvases after having dyed them with tea and like and stuff like that. It was just so fun.
Hmm. I mean, Andy, do you paint?
I do not. I did take some classes. As soon as I learned that I had booked this, I was taking classes in LA. And then once I got to Miami, I was also taking classes as well, whenever I could on the weekends or on off days, because I wanted to, I mean, it's obviously really important to know exactly what it is that, how to hold a paintbrush, like what the different paints are and how long it takes to dry and all of these things. So I am not a painter in real life, although having gone to these classes, it really is such a you kind of just get to like zone out and just like be in your own little world, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it was interesting. I was watching the way that you were holding your
Yeah.
tools, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, maybe she's taking some classes, but
Yeah. That was me.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
one of the
There was
artists.
also an artist
Yeah.
consultant. Remember? Yeah, we
That's
had a
true.
consultant on set that would like show Andy different techniques and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like, I usually hold it like in between my fingers, so that's very easy. And I was like Wolverine? And she was like,
Yeah.
yes, like Wolverine.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that you were all filming in the summer. Why is that?
Well, summer in Miami is the off season because it's too hot.
Oh,
Um, Winter is when everyone flies down there from New York
right.
and
For
everywhere else.
gasoline. Yeah.
So low season in Miami was the only time we possibly could film there because cost wise, we could not compete um, with other productions that were there and also with just tourists, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you guys keep cool? Is it through the 10 to 10 schedule or?
Oh my gosh. The truth is, like, it was a struggle. Like, I do not do well in the heat, ironically. So
Wait, you grew up in Malaysia,
I know.
Miami.
I know I don't do super well, but the beach days were really brutal. Like,
Girl.
yeah, it was so hot.
Yeah, I was
So
not
we
there
all
then.
had like, those portable ACs and then the ice cubes. We bought ice cream
Mm,
for the crew every day that we were out. It was a brutal time.
Yeah. The crew really like, I mean, obviously the cast too, but the crew really like so much like kudos to them because they really were put through the ringer having I wasn't there on the beach day, but I heard things about the beach day and I was
Yeah.
like, ooh,
Yeah, and they're used to
yeah,
it because they're from Miami, which is
that's true.
crazy.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
I would be
They
like,
were giving me tips. Yeah.
what's like a tip that you got?
Oh, so there's a sun hoodie that like the head of G&E was like, you need to get this sun hoodie, Jing. And so it's like basically a skin tight, like long sleeve shirt with a hood that you put on and it just conserves your body temperature when it's really hot. The consequence of that is I look crazy in all the BTS photos and everyone else is like dressed in swimsuits and like looks great, and I'm just in this like sun Eskimo hoodie. So
Very astronaut core. I love it.
yeah, yeah,
There was also one day when we shot at the Everglades, and I forget who it was, but there are a ton of mosquitoes. And then at a certain time in the day, like they're out.
yes,
And
wow.
there was someone who wore like a beekeeper's outfit, low key.
It was Chuck, yeah,
Yes, yes, yes. And we were all like, "What? That's so what like crazy." And we were all like laughing about it. And then later on, we were like, "Oh, I get it," because like he was fine, and we were all bit up and just
yeah,
like
yeah,
with like
yeah,
little stickers to be like, "Oh, this will save me from these ginormous mosquitoes."
yeah.
And Chuck was like, "Fine."
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
then what was like one favorite memory on set?
Oh, there's so many. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Let me
think for
think.
me it would be the forgery, filming
Mm,
the forgery stuff. I thought that was really special because it's not often that you get such earnest collaboration across all departments.
mm.
Like sound, DP, production design, actors, everything was just like solely focused on this process montage. And that was really special for me.
Yeah, I think that shooting the forgery stuff was probably my favorite as well. I mean, there's so many. And like every time we got to shoot at a location, I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, and just being able to like take a moment to be like, wow, we're here right now. We're shooting. Like, I remember it was, I forget where it is, but it's right by the bridge in Miami, I think, where
Oh
you
yeah,
kind
the
of like
parking
go through.
lot. Yeah.
Yes. And it was this beautiful view of like the Miami sky and the water, and then you see a bridge, and like just every location truly was its own. And then the Everglades, even though it was hot and I was afraid I was gonna get eaten by like an alligator or crocodile, like that
Wait,
shot,
really?
uh low key, yeah, because you're kind of on these boats, and but there's nothing keeping you from like, or there's nothing keeping them from like coming onto the boat, you know.
Yes. You're
um
right.
Actually, that was maybe one of my favorite days. Brandon and I went out to the Everglades and we met this amazing guy, Hal, who kind of like showed us around, and like also kind of terrifying. Sorry, that's my dog. um Sorry, I'll stop talking so that you don't have
We
to
can go
listen.
see him. I'd be happy to.
Biggie.
Yeah.
Sorry. um he heard about me talking about getting eaten by crocodiles and he was like, not on my watch. um but yeah, every day was a really great day.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh, I guess we have only enough time for maybe one or two questions. So I guess I'm curious to hear about what you think of like the state of American cinema and representation today, since this is playing in CAAMFest. I mean, I think Jing, you kind of referenced this earlier about talking about anti-heroes and Asian American cinema. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what do you think this we're going? Like, where do you think we're going? Um, as both director, writer, and
I'm
actor.
happy to start here. I guess I was talking to one of the actors in our movie who has been around for a while. And they were saying that they've definitely seen progress. And I think that is certainly the case, right? Like, it's crazy to think that Crazy Rich Asians released almost a decade ago at this point,
Yeah.
right? And
2018, I think, right? Yeah.
2018, yeah, almost a decade ago. Like we're closer to a decade than not. But what's crazy is that movie at the time, I think it had been since the Joy Luck Club, since there was an Asian ensemble cast. And what we've seen since then is that Crazy Rich Asians has opened the door for so many other films. I think now we have to push even further and start taking our stories in different directions because it would be great to have so many Asian movies out there at the same time is the truth. And we're still not there yet, but I think it has gotten a lot better and there's going to be more opportunity in the future, hopefully. And I think it kind of is part of my mission, at least as a director, to create those opportunities for people um, even later on in my life. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm an optimist and a believer, so hopefully I'm right here. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's why we're in the movies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
for
Yeah.
sure. I want to just piggyback off of that by saying that obviously I think that there's been a lot of progress. And I think that what has been really great, like with Everything Everywhere All at Once, and even with Forge too, like you're seeing these like real characters, and you're not seeing us as like a certain type of, you know, um, way, a preconceived notion of like what you think Asian Americans or Asians are. Like Jing said earlier, we're not a monolith. And so it's been really refreshing to see projects where the characters are real people and not just like, you know, this cookie cutter version of what people think we are. It's been really refreshing to see that. And I know that the only way that those stories are going to get made is if studios see that people um, respond to such stories. And I think that again, like with not crazy, well, with Crazy Rich Asians and also Everything Everywhere All at Once, um, and Forge as well. I think that people like it will just show that there is this hunger to see these real stories and that we can be weird or we can be whatever, what have you, and that it's interesting to watch and that people want to see those kind of stories.
Yeah.
Mm.
And most of the people who go to the movies nowadays, like statistically, are not white. So, hopefully like Hollywood takes a hint and starts making more diverse stories more often.
Yeah. And can I ask just one really quick question? Um, what happens to Coco later? Where does she go?
Oh, well, we can't answer that question. We would love a sequel. And
Semantics.
yeah, we love a sequel, but I think a good art forger always gets away, and there's more to come for her. Maybe she's in Italy. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
home of art forgery.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for this interview. This has been a wonderful conversation. Yeah, and everyone check out the film next week, this weekend at CAAMFest.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank you
guys.
so much.